earlier today, the Call of Duty World War II official campaign and story trailer dropped, and I gotta say, it was fantastic. So I'm mad hyped for it. Hopefully you guys are as well too. But in this one, we're gonna be taking a look at 5 things you might not have noticed or picked up on from that said trailer. Some things that are smaller details, some things that are a little bit bigger, and some things that just encompass the storyline overall. So that said, I'll let you guys see the trailer in its entirety, and then we'll break it down a little bit into those 5 things. So that said, here's the trailer.
Hey, stop! He's not worth it. Daniels.
Gentlemen, we're on the verge of the biggest operation of the entire war.
All right, fellas. This is our chance to break out of Normandy. Won't be easy. But you focus on your men, because that's what'll get you through.
If we get this convoy across, we're in the heartland.
All right, on me!
We thought we knew what war would be like. But nothing prepared us for this.
Wer sind die Juden? Lose the tags. Lose them. They're after Jews. Die Juden.
I'm not giving up on my platoon.
We are cogs in the machine, Joseph. We start going our own way, the whole thing breaks down. When did you forget that?
These are men! Our men! When did you forget?
Let's take that bridge and find our boy.
Gear up! Let's move!
You think you got some guts, don't you?
This isn't us.
Well, look, it's all or nothing. It's all been leading to this. Let's move. Well, ain't that something, Fritz?
So that was something that was something else. It was something that to me looks as good as a movie. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out, but let's jump right into our 5 things you may have missed, may not have noticed, things like that. And being that we mentioned it does seem like a movie, let's talk about graphics real quick, because the only difference and kind of downside to this trailer, I think, is that this is not the sort of thing that we'll be seeing in game when we play. Cutscenes, sure, will definitely be like this, but this will be running, it seems like, a pre-rendered system for cinematics, whereas previously we've had different games render cutscenes in real time. So essentially, from a developmental standpoint, what this allows is for a lot higher quality of those cutscenes that you do see, and we saw this with Advanced Warfare as well, where it's a completely different file. It's a high definition actual video file that is called upon in the game code whenever a certain action is presented, such being like loading a mission in. We'll get something that is already made and therefore can be a much higher quality than that of something that is created as a user is using it in real time in game. So with it being something that is pre-rendered, this will allow the cutscenes to be much more realistic, more high definition, all sorts of things. And it's not what the gameplay is going to look like. We already know what that is going to be like based off the beta gameplay that we saw here already in consoles. That's something that will be the same accurate models, the same accurate representation and graphical standards of the game that we see now. What you see in the trailer is, once again, one of those movie files that we'll end up seeing maybe as a cutscene. The second thing I want to discuss is the narrative direction, because this actually took a little bit of a turn from what a lot of people were expecting. They expected just a back and forth of battles and everything like that, but it really plays heavily on something that was a massive part of the war, but maybe not many people really focused on when they thought of how this could have gone, and that being the prisoner of war direction. We see the standard battles and everything like that leading up to it, but then we see that we have one of our squad mates in in a German lineup questioning for where are the Jews. And upon not complying, it seems like he himself is sent to what may very well be a concentration camp. So it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be gritty, it's gonna take a way that the Call of Duty series hasn't really gone in terms of that narrative direction, which will be interesting to see how it does play out. And of course, once again, based off the scene where the little girl is in the small boxed room, which almost looks like a confessional to me from a church, but that's just pure speculation, we see from that scene that it also looks like we'll be following some characters that are on the hunt and on the run from the Nazis. Now, the third thing I want to point out is one that I've seen a ton of comments on the official stuff for Call of Duty, not necessarily here on my channel, but I know some people have pointed it out as well, the lack of swastikas in multiplayer. But we do end up seeing the swastikas at around 2 minutes into the trailer, where it seems like, once again, following that narrative direction, we'll be infiltrating a Nazi base of some sort or going behind enemy lines, which will be very interesting. We do hear the lines of, once we get this convoy across the bridge, we'll be in the heartland, so it is quite possible that this whole operation of going behind the scenes could happen, but nonetheless, the swastikas are there, keeping that historical accuracy, as some people were very adamant about. And while it is only single player, that is the only thing that they said they were genuinely concerned about, keeping the historical accuracy to that aspect in there. So I wouldn't expect any change of heart in seeing swastikas in multiplayer. It's more than likely still going to be the Iron Cross, and actually, it even still is in the single player version of the German version of the game. Every time a trailer comes out like this, Call of Duty puts up multiple different variations for the different nationalities and everything like that around the world, and the one German trailer that is available, it does showcase the Iron Cross instead of the swastikas. So take that how you will, but nonetheless, it is something that they are returning for that historical accuracy. Now, the next thing up is one that I want to talk about, a little bit of weaponry, because we do see some different instances of proper weaponry models this time around, instead of, say, some things that we saw in the multiplayer aspect. Whenever you take a look at it, the M1928 is actually the proper model for the M1928, in which you can use a round drum in that, and it has the grip just underneath the barrel, and it sticks true to that M1928 model. However, whereas in multiplayer we had the M1A1 variation, and in a realistic standpoint, you can't ever put a round drum on that, and the models themselves look drastically different. So maybe just attesting once again to that historical accuracy part of the campaign and single player, it is interesting to see how they differ from single player to multiplayer. But once again, as long as it plays well in multiplayer, I'm not necessarily too upset with it. I can totally live with it, but nonetheless, it is something that is fixed here in the single player. Now, the fifth and final thing that I mentioned is actually one that is kind of trivial, doesn't really change anything about the storyline, anything about the gameplay, but Matt Reedy returns here within this, and you guys may know him as General McDonnell from Advanced Warfare. He's the one that Kevin Spacey or Jonathan Irons goes back and forth on in an argument in the Situation Room to call for an invasion. So he's the one that says, "On whose authority?" to which Spacey replies, "On my authority." So you might remember that scene, you might not, but he's returning playing Davis, presumably a general here or some sort of superior officer. We see him very briefly in the trailer, but he's back within another role within Sledgehammer's title, so that'll be cool to see him back in the gameplay. But nonetheless, that's 5 things that you might not have picked up on, some things you may have missed, or maybe you got all of these. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback though down there in the comment section down below. Firstly, are you guys hyped for the trailer? Are you guys hyped for the single player and campaign and just the launch of World War II? Secondly, what do you guys think of these? Have you guys noticed any of these yourselves? And is there anything else that you guys picked up on that maybe I didn't? Love to hear your thoughts down there in the comment section down below, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm super stoked. If you guys liked the video, drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a beat with Call of Duty World War II. We're gonna be killing it, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And finally, if you guys wanna follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected from outside of YouTube, but practically live on Twitter. So if you guys wanna strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine is an espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.